Is it difficult being so damn sexy? Dude, really? Are you single? LOL. Obviously, I'm a massive nerd. Here she is. Hi dolls. Ever since I've started this channel, my main focus was always dolls and doll-related content, so I never really felt the need to show my face on camera. I do sometimes, but it's just because you guys keep insisting I do it, and so I thought it would be good to just sit down in front of a camera and ask you guys to ask me some questions. Apollo Royale asks, hi. Where are you from and how old? I'm from Italy and I'm 25. C1940C asks, when is your doll line coming out? So I actually gave you guys a little spoiler and told everyone that I would release a doll line, and that is still happening. As to when it's coming out, that is a really difficult question. It's mainly a question of when I have enough money to do it, because production is really expensive. Somewhat soon, hopefully in the next 2 years, my dolls are going to be out, I promise. The Nostalgia Witch asks, how did your family react when you started collecting and restoring? So I've kind of always been into dolls ever since I was a kid. Mind you, I grew up in a really weird dynamic. My family is, I am Eastern European as well, but being gay in general and liking feminine things wasn't really something that you did. But I guess my parents were cooler than most parents would be. When I started working on dolls, they kind of didn't understand it at first, and they really still don't. But I think they're coming around to it, and they appreciate the work. And my mom watches my channel. Hi mom. One comes from David, and he says, having written for Hot Doll for many years, please tell us how you came about being an artist. I feel like calling myself an artist is quite pretentious. I work on dolls. I don't know how I came about it. I think it was always just a matter of wanting to own pretty things. And it's also been the question of I don't really have the money to afford pretty things. So for me, I was always trying to make things pretty for myself when I couldn't afford them. And I guess that's how it started out. And then it just progressed into me trying to make my visions come to life through dolls, I guess. Nautical Blue asks, what kind of hobbies or interests do you have outside of doll restoration? That's a really good one. I actually have way too many interests and hobbies. I'm really into old movies. I don't know if you can tell by this Hedy Lamarr movie poster. I occasionally sing. It's really bad, but I do it. I draw, I do 3D design sometimes. I'm really bad at that too, by the way. Moon Lunatic 09 asks, che consigli daresti al te di anni fa che iniziò per la prima volta a lavorare sui suoi progetti? Questa cosa può essere presa in modo molto ampio, ma deciderò di prenderla solo in ambito di bambole. Prima di tutto di non dare il video a insider. Come seconda cosa, di non avere paura di sbagliare, perché è normale. Solo perché ho una piattaforma pubblica non vuol dire che io non possa sbagliare. Semplicemente mi sono messo in testa che ho una reputazione da tenere, cosa assolutamente non vera, e quindi al minimo sbaglio io sono rovinato come persona e come artista, il che non è assolutamente vero, e adesso me ne rendo conto e sto cercando di lasciarmi sbagliare. Karen asks, what is your best solution for green ear and how long does it take? I would say it's acne cream, like benzoyl peroxide cream, but that really just depends on the type of vinyl. On swirls it doesn't really work at all, and nothing really seems to help. Removes It is a really good product that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. So it's really just hit or miss, and that's the case with most things in restoration. Harlequin's Bunny asks, best thing to recolor an old Francie doll? I've tried soaking in denture tablets, but she still looks the same. So denture tablets don't really color dolls. You would use it, for example, if your doll has yellowed, which I assume yours had, but it's not going to make the color come back. And unfortunately, there's that really weird, like, mod era period where the vinyl just loses color. I know there's this marker that you can use. I will insert it here or here, depending on how the mood strikes. And you can also recolor using Rid Dye, and I will post the colors and the ratios either here or here again. Ingrid Barbie Collection asks, can you please do tutorials on how to face paint a Barbie? That's a really tough one. I've actually gotten this one in the past as well. I wish I could. It's really subjective, like honestly. Many times I don't even follow my own techniques. Sometimes some methods work, sometimes they don't, and what works on one doll doesn't really work on another doll. So as much as I would love to give you, I can give you the bases. You need, a primer. You need to start with your base layer and then work your way and try to intensify the pigments, and then another layer of primer and then top coat. But that's about it. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. Annette asks, is it difficult being so damn sexy? Where? What do you do for work? Well, this and a couple other things. Where did you grow up? So I grew up in Romania for the first 7 years of my life, and then I moved to Italy, and I've been living here up until 19, and then I moved to the UK for 4 years, and now I'm back in Italy. How do you get business? Local only or worldwide? That really just depends on who's buying it on eBay, because usually I'll sell either on eBay or Vinted. What is the theme of the doll line you are developing? Well, I kinda got tired of hearing myself speak, so why don't I just show you? Here she is. This is Dovima. She is the fashion doll that I've been teasing all of these years, and I can't believe I'm actually showing it on camera for the first time. It's kind of surreal to see her all completed. Dovima is a doll that I worked with a designer on, and I've had her 3D designed, and then I basically redid everything. So yeah, she is entirely handmade. She will have removable wigs which will have a magnet on the inside. The wigs are completely handmade, hand styled. Her face is painted by myself, and I've also made all the clothing. I wanted a lot of emphasis on the hands, and you can also remove the hands which will have magnets to allow you to dress her better. I wanted to take some elements of vintage doll making. So for example, the fact that she is held together by elastic strings, or the holes in the feet, and she is made of really tough resin. So yeah, I can't wait for you guys to see these. Compact Girl asks, how big is your collection Barbie wise, and do you collect clone Barbie, and if so, whom do you have? How big my doll collection is? Well, actually I'm just going to show you guys. When you reboot, what kind of hair is best? And do you make a living outside of YouTube, or is YouTube your job? So YouTube is partly my job. I can't really sustain myself for even a week out of YouTube. As to rerouting, what kind of hair is best? Honestly, there's just so many types of hair that you can use, and they're all valid. It really just depends on what you're trying to achieve. You can use nylon, you can use kanekalon, you can use saran, you can use mohair, you can use literally anything that you think looks good or suits that project. What inspired you to get into restoring dolls? Actually, my very first Barbie was a blonde bubble cut that I purchased off of eBay for really cheap. And it was always just a matter of me wanting to own a vintage Barbie and start collecting. Yeah, I didn't really have a lot of money at the time, so I was like, let me get this really busted TLC condition doll and try and make the best of it. Do you just look at a finished example of a doll and do your repaint, or do you have a formula or something to get the proportions right? No, I never really look at a doll per se. I sometimes look at some pictures. Depending on what kind of project I'm doing, I'll either base myself off some human proportions or just character proportions, but most of the times I just freeball it. Where does the name Doe Deer Wonderland come from? That's a really funny story. Picture a 15-year-old telling themselves yeah, I should be called Doe Deer, for no good reasons, apart from being obsessed with crystal castles and their song Doe Deer. and then I added Wonderland after it, just because I felt like Doe Deer was kind of generic. Thank you for sharing your talent with us. It truly is a joy to see your work and take such care of these dolls. You also seem very humble and gracious when responding to comments. Looking forward to the Q&A. Thank you so much. Honestly, I try my best to not give you guys the impression that I'm just here to get your views. Like, I want to give you guys as much back as you're giving to me, because this channel would not exist if you guys weren't watching, so thank you so much. Felipe asks, what kind of dolls are your favorite? If you mean types of dolls, definitely fashion dolls, because that's about the only thing I collect. If you mean a brand, I'll probably have to stick with Barbie. Do you play with them, or have you ever played with them? I used to play with them when I was a kid, but I genuinely don't really touch my dolls. Like, once they're on display for good. What do you do with them after you restore them? If it's a doll that I really want for myself, I'll obviously restore it and then display it. Whitey Wins asks, how did you discover your talent for restoring dolls? To this day, I don't really think it's a talent. I actually think it's something that I conditioned myself to be able to do. I think anyone can restore a doll. It just takes a lot of determination and time and patience and meticulousness. Dolls and Minis asks, how many dolls do you have in your collection? Who's the fave? I haven't really counted them and I'm afraid to. Who's my favorite? Probably my American Girl Barbie, just because of how difficult it is to get a hold of her. The Nostalgia Witch asks, how did your doll collection start? If I had to guess, it would probably be the first time that I got a top model Barbie for Christmas. Dolly Had asks, what inspires you most? Hi Dean. I get inspired by everything. I'll listen to a song or watch a movie and get really fixated on one small detail, and then I'll have this whole mental thing where I'll think about it for days, and then it just needs to come out in some ways, and I guess doing dolls is it for me. Larry SF asks, are you single? LOL. Well, yes, Larry, I am. Moon Lunatic 09 asks, a confronto, chi è la tua creazione preferita e la più odiata? Allora, la più odiata 100% la swirl che ho fatto per Insider. Ho parlato di Insider ormai 2 volte, ci sarà un motivo. La mia preferita, non l'avete ancora vista, è una ponytail numero 3. Conservi ancora il tuo primo progetto intatto o lo hai usato per altre idee che avevi? Il mio primo progetto intatto in termini di Barbie è la Bubble Cut, che se andate giù a vedere nei video è praticamente penso il primo o il secondo video che ho fatto. Non l'ho ancora usata per un altro progetto, ma è nei piani. Da quanto tempo ami le bambole? Quanti anni avevi quando hai lavorato alla tua prima bambola? In realtà anche da piccolo facevo ste cose, tipo, non so, mi compravo una Barbie o mi compravano una Barbie a Natale e magari non mi piaceva il rossetto o pensavo potesse stare meglio con l'eyeliner piuttosto che l'ombretto di un diverso colore, e quindi ho sempre avuto sta cosa di modificare le cose per farmele piacere, e che penso che sia una buona cosa da fare, perché alla fine stimola un bambino ad avere creatività. Dystopia Inc. asks, tattoo tour? So just a little backstory. This is my best friend and she did all of my tattoos. I have all of my fingertips tattooed with a dot. I have this little heart here because I wear my heart on my sleeve. I don't know, I thought it was a cute idea when I was 18, but I mean it's small, it's cute. Then I obviously have Marilyn here, and I have Rita Hayworth here, and I have this one, which is a quote from Twin Peaks, because obviously I'm a massive nerd, and if you think she did a good job, go follow her on Instagram. Cinnamon Sticks asks, by the way, I love your username. What has been your favorite doll so far to restore? Again, probably one of the ponytails I did. Jade the Bratz Boy asks, what are your favorite dolls to collect? Line collection years and least favorite. So I don't really go by least favorite because I don't collect anything I don't love. Like, I really have to love a doll to invest in it enough to collect. Favorite line of dolls is probably the Silkstone Barbies. When I was a child, I used to look at the promotional videos and think like, wow, this is beyond. Ultra Mannequin asks, what is your favorite doll you have restored / customized? So I'm going to split this into two, and I'm going to say the favorite one that I have restored you have not yet seen. As for the one I customize, favorite one is probably still the fortune teller. Miss Millie Alley asks, is doll restoration your primary job, side hustle, or a hobby? It is a side hustle and also a hobby. It's something I do out of passion, but I'm doing my best to try and monetize it. Do you have a restoration background? I absolutely do not. I saw you restoring the Barbie box. Your paint mixes were so similar to the original colors. It looked like I was watching a painting restoration. That's so nice. Thank you very much. Any tips on how to use MSE if it's raining or snowing all the time? And do I need a mask with a filter? Do you need a mask with a filter? Absolutely yes. The microparticles are so small that they can and will harm you, so please use caution. So as for tips for using MSE when it's raining or snowing, I really don't know of any, and if any of you have any tips, actually please let me know. I think I'd like to just learn more about you, your journey to doll restoration, your art journey, what you do, what are your dreams. Oh god, that's such a big question. Am I gonna have a Beyonce Pretty Hurts moment right now? I guess to just be able to sustain myself and my family economically through the stuff that I do, which I know is a really shitty answer, but unfortunately we live in a society. Dude, really? So Joanna asks, I'm wondering where you acquire your dolls that you restore. Mainly just eBay. Lately I've been going to a few flea markets and doll conventions, like for specifically old stuff. I don't really love the doll-focused conventions where they sell a lot of garbage, because usually people will know what the dolls are worth. They will try and scalp you. Lana Forsyth asks, were you always fascinated with fashion dolls? I played with dolls a lot as a kid, and then as soon as I turned like 11, I was like, yeah, I'm not into dolls anymore, and I just put them all away, threw them in a box, and didn't open that box up until the day I was like 18, and I suddenly decided I was into dolls again, and the rest is history. Do you watch other doll related content? I'm gonna sound like a dick for saying this, but I don't. I really don't watch YouTube unless I really need like a tutorial sort of thing. I'll watch it for technical reasons sometimes. Do you listen to music / podcasts while you're working? No, it definitely messes up my concentration. I'm one of those people that really get tunnel vision when they're working, and anything will distract me, so I try my best to avoid any and all distractions, and as soon as somebody speaks, it's over. We'd love to know your taste in music or content. Usually the type of music that I listen to is just 80s stuff. What's your dream doll you want in your collection? I would really like to own a number 1 ponytail, although that's basically impossible, but I'll keep dreaming. Do you have bats? Yes, I have an obese chihuahua, and I also have a cat who just gave birth to 3 kittens. Do you have favorite fashion icons? I really love Marlena Dietrich, Hedy Lamarr, Anna May Wong, Betty Page, Vampira, obviously. I think I just like an eccentric woman. You're great at sewing. Ever wanted to design clothes? I'm not, but thank you very much for the compliment nonetheless. So those are all the questions that I have time for. Thank you so much for sending all of your questions through, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!